Hey guys! So I wanted to make a little video about interacting with the tarot and how different that is for everyone. Um, but I wanted to start with saying that which deck you choose, sometimes it could take a while to choose the right deck. This is the Thoth deck. Um, and for me, this has been an incredible deck because I feel it's packed with symbolism and it's colorful and the colors are coordinated to the different elements, and it's just packed rich with symbolism. So although I like different decks like the Wild Unknown and Star Child and Moon Child decks so much because they're very much intuitive decks, I find that with the Thoth deck, every single time I do a reading with it, um, it's so profound each time I do a reading with this deck. And I find it's a combination of um, the symbolism, the colors, and the fact that it's not so modern as well. I find that with some of the modern decks too, a lot of the rich symbolism can be taken out of it, which is also okay because some of you may like to read with your intuition primarily. So, since you are a conduit of source energy and these cards are a tool to receive guidance from, you are still receiving directly messages. It is not, you're not receiving messages from the cards primarily. You're actually receiving them within your being from source. So, perhaps for you, you really have to play around with the cards first and find a deck that you really like. As I said, I love the Thoth deck so much. I find it so rich, and my readings are extremely accurate with it every single time. Never ceases to fail. But then some of the other decks, like behind me with Star Child, Moon Child, Wild Unknown, they will be more for people who want to be guided by their intuition, who want to step more away from symbolism, and not that they don't have symbolism in them, they do have symbolism in them, but people who want to feel more guided and more in their power and aligned with source and their inner being, and allow those messages to naturally come through. So I would say the first thing with your interacting with the tarot is definitely to choose the deck that you feel most connected to, and it might take you a little while to find out which one that is, and to just play around really and feel them. Sometimes even the size of the cards takes a big effect on that and how they feel in your hand. So I think that's part of it as well. I like to have decks that just like fit. They're smaller. They fit really easily in your hand. I feel I could shuffle them. They're thin. They're flexible. So I think that's a big part of it. For you to get a good reading is to feel absolutely connected with the deck and inspired by the deck, and know whether you, if you're a more practical person, then I think a deck with more symbolism is better for you because you'll be able to break everything down easier. Whereas if you want to go more in intuition, then a gorgeous deck with less symbols would be fine for you. I love both, so I use both, and I use them for different reasons, but I do find the Thoth deck is one of my favorites. So also the way you ask questions with the tarot, the more specific you are, the more accurate, of course, your reading will be. So if you hold a very specific question in mind, I would suggest to meditate with it. And especially if you're doing a reading for another person, you definitely will want to completely clear your field and meditate on that person's energy that you would be giving a reading for. If you're reading for yourself, you may not need to do a whole ritual for a reading, although you can, of course, if you want to, depending on how you're feeling and what's going on. If you're doing deeper shadow work, you'll probably be in a more meditative space anyways. So you can spend time meditating on and with the cards, holding them in your hand once you find the deck that you want to work with. And then you can go from there and get a beautiful reading. I always find the most magical readings, especially for yourself, but also for others. The most profound readings I always get is when I really honor myself and the cards, and I take time to have a ritual out of it. And I meditate and I connect with the cards. I always do readings for other people in this way, no matter what. And I normally will put myself in a room, lock myself in a room, and really take time to set up the whole space for the reading. I don't always do that for myself. Mainly do that for other people because the truth is we are always with our own energy. So every time you do a reading for yourself, it's very accurate. But when you're tuning into someone else's energy and doing a reading, or if you simply aren't doing reading for others, but you have questions about another being, then what you want to do is clear your field and meditate, spend time sitting, and then you can begin to tune into their field if you have questions regarding another being. But to just be sitting down and pulling cards for someone else, if you have questions pertaining another person, would be more challenging because you need to take some time to tune into their field. You know, depending on how quickly you can connect with someone else, if you can do it fairly quickly, then you may not need to have a whole ritual out of it. It really just depends on how quickly you can connect. Another question that I always love to ask in a reading is, what is the highest energy unfolding for this situation? Because when you ask that, you automatically are putting the energy to the highest that you can in the most positive vibration. So even if you're having a hard time, and you're in a deeper shadow work period, you can put your question in the highest light possible. What is the highest energy of this experience or situation? And that will signal the highest possible energies that are playing in your field. And then if you are receiving lower vibrational cards, you can pull another card for clarification and say, please clarify for me, what do I need to see about this lower energy? How can I transmute this energy? And so then you can just receive a clarifying card on that lower vibrational energy. That is a great way to get, especially if you're in a lower space, going through any hard times, then this can elevate you to the highest possible outcome. So there's so many ways that you can interact with the tarot. It's such an intuitive process. It would be different for each one of you. For me, I'm such an intuitive being like you all are. So I connect with different kind of cards. I like to keep the energy more open. When I ask a question, sometimes I simply ask the cards to read the energies of the day for me, to see what the energies are I'm working with in the day. And I do a reading that way. I normally pull cards every day, once a day, and I find that it's good to not overuse the cards because they start playing tricks on you, just like in life too, when all this funny stuff starts happening. And just as I said that, there's a gecko that starts laughing. So it's really intuitive. It's really like everything else, learning as you go. But I hope some of this was helpful for you. And if you have any more questions or if you have ideas for videos, leave me a comment below and I will see you next time. All right, guys. Bye.